our planet Earth. Imagine it without human beings. People are producers and consumers of resources. We are, in fact, the ultimate resource. Consider this. Coal exists as sedimentary rock in coal beds. People invented technology to mine it from the ground. Today, coal is one of the largest sources of fuel and electricity. People also create the social and cultural environment of a nation. It is the people who form a nation and help develop its economy. The density, distribution, growth and characteristics of people help us understand and appreciate all aspects of the environment. Therefore, population study is a pivotal element in social studies. Did you know? We entered the 20th century with a population of less than 2 billion people? And now the world's population is over 6.5 billion. How does this figure translate into our country's population? How many people are there in India? Where do they live? How and why are their numbers increasing? What are their characteristics? The Census of India provides us with information regarding the population of our country. So, what is a census? A census is an official enumeration of the population of a country that is recorded periodically. The Indian census is the most comprehensive source of demographic, social and economic data of India. The first census in India was taken in 1872. The first complete census, however, was taken in 1881. Since then, censuses have been held regularly every 10 years. The census provides answers to 3 primary questions about the population. How many people are there and where are they located? How has the population grown and changed through time? What are the age, sex composition, literacy level, occupational structure and health condition of the population? Let's first look at population size and distribution. Population distribution can be studied both by numbers and density. Let's first look at population size and distribution by numbers. As per the March 2001 census, India's population stood at 1028 million. This accounted for 16.7% of the world's population. The population is distributed over India's vast area of 3.28 million square kilometers. The country's area accounts for 2.4% of the world's area. Almost half of India's population lives in 5 states: Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Bihar, West Bengal and Andhra Pradesh. As per the 2001 census, Uttar Pradesh is the most populated state of India with 166 million people. Uttar Pradesh accounts for about 16% of the country's population. On the other hand, the Himalayan state Sikkim has a population of just about 500,000 people. Lakshadweep has only 60,000 people. Rajasthan, the biggest state in terms of area, has only 5.5% of the total population of India. As you can see, the distribution of population is uneven throughout the country. Population density provides a better picture of the uneven distribution. Population density is the number of persons that live in 1 square kilometer of an area. The average population density of India in 2001 was 324 persons per square kilometer. India is one of the most densely populated countries of the world. The population density of the country varies from one state to another. It varies from 904 persons per square kilometer in West Bengal to only 13 persons per square kilometer in Arunachal Pradesh. The states of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttaranchal, Arunachal Pradesh, Assam and others have population densities below 250 persons per square kilometer. What could be the reason for low population density in these areas? Rugged terrain and unfavorable climatic conditions are the main reasons for the sparse population in these areas. Assam and most of the peninsula states have moderate population densities. These regions are characterized by hilly, dissected and rocky terrain. In addition, moderate to low rainfall and less fertile soils have also influenced the population density in these areas. The states of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and West Bengal, that is, the northern plains, and Kerala in the south, have high to very high population densities. This is because of the flat terrain, fertile soils, and abundant rainfall in these regions. Population is a dynamic phenomenon. When you compare the current population to that of earlier years, you will notice that the numbers, distribution and composition of the population are constantly changing. Population growth is the change in population over time. It can be expressed in two ways: absolute numbers, percentage change per year. Let's look at population growth expressed in absolute numbers. The absolute numbers added every year or decade shows the extent of increase in population. To obtain this number, we subtract the population of the earlier year or decade from the later year or decade. This is also referred to as the absolute increase in population. Let's now look at population growth expressed in terms of percentage change. The rate or pace at which population increases is an important aspect in the study of population. It is studied in percent per annum. This is also referred to as the annual growth rate. India's population has been steadily increasing over the years. From a population of 361 million in 1951, the country's population stood at 1,028 million in 2001. From 1951 to 1981, the annual rate of population growth was steadily increasing. Post-1981, you will notice a gradual decline in the growth rate. The declining trend of the growth rate indicates positive results in birth control efforts undertaken by the government. During this period, birth rates declined rapidly. Despite the decline, the absolute increase in population was 182 million by 2001. Thus, a whopping 182 million people were added to the total population in the 1990s. This was an addition larger than ever before. Let's understand the cause of the large absolute increase despite the declining growth rate. Even a low annual growth rate, when applied to a very large population, leads to a large absolute increase. India shows a current annual increase in population of 15.5 million. This huge figure offsets efforts to conserve resources and the environment. At this rate, India is likely to overtake China in 2045 to become the most populous country in the world. Population is a dynamic phenomenon. The number, distribution, and composition of a country's population are constantly changing. Today, the world's population stands at over 6.5 billion. What are the factors responsible for the change in population? The change is brought about by the interaction of three processes: birth rate, death rate, and migration. The natural increase in the population is the difference between the birth rate and the death rate. Birth rate is the number of infants born alive in a year per thousand of the population. In India, the birth rate has always been higher than the death rate. Therefore, the birth rate is a major component of population growth in India. Death rate is the number of deaths occurring in a population per year. The death rate usually includes deaths from all causes and is expressed as deaths per thousand of population in a year. The main cause for the growth of India's population has been the rapid decline in the death rate. Till 1980, high birth rates and declining death rates led to a large difference between them, resulting in higher rates of population growth. Since 1981, the birth rate started declining gradually, resulting in a gradual decline in the rate of population growth. The third component of population growth is migration. Migration is the movement of people across regions and territories. Migration can be internal, that is, within the country, or international, that is, between different countries. Internal migration does not change the size of the population, but influences the distribution of population within the country. International migration can affect the change in population. It plays a very significant role in changing the composition and distribution of population. In India, most migrations have been from rural to urban areas because of the push factor in rural areas. These include poverty and unemployment in the rural areas. The pull of the city in terms of better employment opportunities and better living conditions is also an important contributing factor. Migration is an important determinant of population change. It changes not only the population size, but also the population composition of urban and rural areas in terms of age and sex. In India, the rural to urban migration has resulted in a steady increase in the percentage of population in cities and towns. The urban population has increased from 17.29% of the total population in 1951 to 27.78% in 2001. There has been a significant increase in the number of million-plus cities, from 23 to 35 in just one decade, that is, from 1991 to 2001. Now that we've seen how population grows and changes over a period of time, it is important to study the characteristics of the population. Age composition is one of the most basic characteristics of a population. It indicates the number of people that belong to different age groups. How does age impact the population of a country? Consider this. A person's age influences the products or goods he or she needs and buys, what he or she does, and the capacity to perform various tasks. Thus, the number and percentage of people in different age groups help determine the population's social and economic structure. The population of a nation is generally grouped into three broad categories: children, working age adults, aged. The population below 15 years is economically unproductive. They need to be provided with food, clothing, education, and medical care. People between 15 and 59 years comprise the working population. They are economically productive and biologically reproductive. Thus, this age group adds to the economy and is capable of producing children. The population belonging to the above 59 age group can be economically productive, though they may have retired. People in this age group may be working voluntarily. However, they are not available for employment through recruitment. Children and aged people are generally not producers. Therefore, the percentage of population belonging to these two age groups affects the dependency ratio of the country. Dependency ratio is the ratio of the dependent population to the working age population of the country. Sex ratio is the ratio of males to females in a population. It is calculated as the number of females per 1,000 males of the population. The sex ratio of a country shows the extent of equality between males and females at a given time. It is an indicator of sex discrimination or gender bias in a society. The sex ratio in India has always remained unfavorable to females. Let's look at the sex ratio all over the country. Kerala has a sex ratio of 1,058 females per 1,000 males. Pondicherry has 1,001 females for every 1,000 males. Delhi's sex ratio is 821, while Haryana has 861 females per 1,000 males. Literacy is a very important indicator of the quality of a population. As per the census of 2001, a literate person is aged 7 years and above and can read and write with understanding in any language. Literacy rates are a crucial measure of a country's human resources. Literate people generally have a higher socio-economic status and enjoy better health and employment prospects. An informed and educated citizen can make intelligent choices. On the other hand, low levels of literacy can hamper the economic development of the country. Over years, there has been a steady improvement in the literacy levels in India. As per the census of 2001, the literacy rate of India was 64.84%. 75.26% of males and 53.67% of females in India are literate. One of the most important indicators of a country's development is the percentage of its working population. Occupational structure refers to the distribution of the workforce in different occupations. You will find a variety of occupations in any country. Occupations are generally classified as primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary activities include agriculture, animal husbandry, collecting wood or other forest products, fishing, and mining activities for raw material. Secondary activities include the manufacturing industry, building and construction work, and other similar activities that create finished products. Tertiary activities include transport, communications, commerce, administration, and other services. The proportion of people working in primary, secondary, and tertiary occupations varies in developed and developing countries. You will notice that developed nations have a higher proportion of people involved in secondary and tertiary activities. On the other hand, developing nations have a higher proportion of people involved in primary activities. About 64% of the people in India are associated with farming and allied occupations. On the other hand, 13 to 20% of people are involved in secondary and tertiary occupations. However, with the growing industrialization and urbanization, more and more people have been opting for secondary and tertiary occupations. The health of the population affects the development process of the country. Over years, there has been a marked improvement in the general health condition of the Indian population. This is largely due to programs run by the government for the health of its citizens. India's death rate has declined from 25 per 1,000 population in 1951 to 8.1 per 1000 in 2001. Life expectancy at birth has increased from 36.7 years in 1951 to 64.6 years in 2001. Let's look at the factors responsible for this development. Public health has drastically improved over the years. A number of communicable diseases have been brought under control. Modern medical practices have enabled healthcare professionals to diagnose and treat ailments better. Despite marked improvements, the health situation is a matter of major concern for India. The per capita calorie consumption is much below the recommended levels. As a result, malnutrition afflicts a large percentage of our population. Safe drinking water and basic sanitation amenities are available to only 1/3 of the rural population. These problems need to be tackled through an appropriate population policy. To control and stabilize the growth of population, the Government of India initiated the National Family Planning Programme in 1952. The program was based on the understanding that the planning of families would improve individual health and welfare. The program was to promote responsible and planned parenthood on a voluntary basis. Following that, the National Population Policy (NPP) was adopted in the year 2000. NPP 2000 provides a policy framework to address the issues of child survival, maternal health, and contraception. NPP 2000 aims at imparting free and compulsory school education up to 14 years of age, reducing infant mortality rate to below 30 per 1,000 live births, immunizing children against preventable diseases, promoting delayed marriage for girls, and making family welfare a people-centered program. The adolescent population size is the most significant feature of the Indian population. It constitutes 1/5 of the India's total population. Adolescents are generally grouped in the age group of 10 to 19 years. They are the most important resource for the future. Adolescents have higher nutrition requirements than children or adults. Poor nutrition can lead to deficiency and stunted growth. In India, the diet available to adolescents is inadequate in all nutrients. A large number of adolescent girls suffer from anemia. So far, the problems faced by adolescent girls have not received enough attention. How can this issue be resolved? Adolescent girls have to be made aware of their problems. Their awareness can be improved by educating them. NPP 2000 identified adolescents as a section of the population that needs greater attention. Besides nutritional requirements, the NPP laid emphasis on protecting adolescents from unwanted pregnancies and sexually transmitted diseases, STD. The NPP also initiated programs aimed at encouraging delayed marriage and childbearing, educating adolescents about the risk of unprotected sex, making contraceptive services accessible and affordable, providing food supplements and nutritional services, and adopting legal measures to prevent child marriage. People are a nation's most valuable resource. A well-educated and healthy population is a potential source of future development.